Okay. Now what? Yeah, tuasaku. Hain kananik adu sawe wa'a. Kudak sawe wa'a. Wasa edu wasak. Dasa yasaku hayuk atungida. Data tinaksak yeti yidat. Just adasa tuasaku adat. Khidatani hetwasak pati. Geld hayuk atungiten hetwasa tlingit atungiten kanakake. So let's just go around. We'll do introductions. Who you are, where you're from, that kind of business, whatever fashion you want to give that introduction. What do you know about Tlingit? And what do you need? If you want to share that stuff, or talk about whatever you want. This is just our opening round, getting to know each other. We've got some new faces, which is fantastic. Lots of people, which happens. Yesu acha. We're still Yesu adetucha. We're still paddling along. Yeah. So. Okay. Let's see. Yes.
Stand up there, Jeff, or
Yeah, sure.
just any way you feel comfortable?
Whatever you want.
I like to sit. Alrighty then. We talk to the camera or
Everybody.
okay. Well, good chish. Wow, it's been a while. Lekach enak Daniel Johnny B. Hewson Yukat Dosak. Taku Kwan Ayakat Yonyedi Ayakat Shungu KD Yeti Ayakat. And well, I'm kind of rusty on this as far as I know about my intro. And pretty much just recently I found out that everybody's been saying my clan is from Ak, so for like the past 10 years I've had an introduction going Akwan until one day someone's like, no, it's Taku. I was like, oh, how sad, you know? So on that note, kind of why I started getting into Tlingit classes and everything, because at first I thought, you know, I was learning through people here and there, you know, like family, potlatches, Kuiks. So I know the same thing. Just a whole assortment of things, thinking I was getting the hang of it. However, getting into my first class in order to get my bachelor's, it turns out I actually knew nothing about like the proper term based off of an actual class. So after that, I figured to come in and start going through all these to actually get, if not a correct and accurate, I guess, agreed upon style of Tlingit, as well as its culture and its language. Originally, I was actually going in for the art class that's around the exact same time. However, this was my secondary pull-up, in which I'm grateful that I'm actually here. Thanks, Cheech, for that. And yeah, like most of my things I get from this is I'm looking forward to actually getting into the more advanced part, because the ownership always bugs me, and the masculine and feminine version of ownerships get me even more, you know. Like I didn't even know that you can actually that's like the whole introduction is a basic term where you can actually get it into fine detail. Like someone was telling me that there was an introduction that could last almost a day, you know. And like one of my most fascinating things I like about our culture is that we are very descriptive down to a T, but where most stories would last 2 weeks simply because someone would tell you in the very first hour of the story what someone ate, where it was, specific locations, what that person was feeling, all the way straight to how many like people he was talking to in the story about it, kind of thing. So yeah, that's my introduction. Nice to meet y'all. And Daniel Evenson. Yeah, I figured since that was kind of a quick blast of how I am and who I am.
Tlingit name?
Ujganj, which is Tlingit for black tobacco.
Yeah. How do you spell it?
It's weird. It's like Tuch with the T under tone thing. G, like with the undertone, AA and CH. And I think with the CH, there's like a little hyphen. At least that's how I read it in the dictionary. Did you guys actually know that we have a dictionary?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, we'll talk about the different resources that are out. Okay.
That was what I was going to ask was about like the differences for Tlingit and every other Tlingit clans and stuff. Because I know Chilkats have almost as much as a difference as we would with Haidas.
Well, as far as the language goes, yeah, we'll talk about dialects and lifestyles. But in Hawaii, we make those into okinas. Upside down. If you make an apostrophe, you get in trouble. Well, I completely misspoke. Awesome. It's okay. Everything's okay. It's poha.
Okay. Ganchi, Ikei, Christine. Could reach Ayach Sai, Lakach Enach Jasmine, Yuchat Chalk Nachat Zati, Chicken Shaw Ayachat, Pelican Dach, Tuptain Ton, Dachanuhu, Hot Hit Ayaha Nakahidi. So over the summer I kind of got a little rusty. I realized I'm pretty comfortable like sitting there behind a computer, or like with paper, like writing things out. Like I would write a letter or I'd write an email or Facebook post in Tlingit and be totally comfortable with that. And now coming back and getting back into the setting where there are people I can talk to in Tlingit and like converse with, I realized I've lost some things just over the summer, and it's kind of remarkable just to see how quickly it can be lost. So that that's something that became more apparent to me over the summer. But I don't know. So it's kind of this semester, I guess, in the Tlingit oral literature class, and I feel like that's going to push me to my limits a lot. Like because I just feel like I'm so far behind already, kind of. But it's good because like if you just stay in your comfort zone, then you're not going to learn much at a very quick rate, at least. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now with the language and like realizing things about myself and learning.
Sumaki Khaidu Asak, Olivia Kaila, Laikakwa, David Russell Johnson, Utskan Olivia Kaila, Utskan Gishpavada Khatsati, Nislu Tehiriyak, Ginadoix Pond, Aqua, Maklakat, Napondak 2. Chingy going persecution you that can be that. Shtuchashtu. Name's David Russell Jensen. My Nupiak name is Sumik. Nupiak and Simshian. Simshian. Gishogada, killer whale. House at Nislu in the Kinadoix territory, British Columbia, and also from Nunavut. What should I say? I don't really know a lot still about Tlingit, but I'm learning. Glad to be here.
Quite a bit if you can't remember everything you said. It's always a good sign. And say your Tsimshian clan again.
Gishpavada.
Okay.
It's a quick do eat, I remember last semester you were talking about how it's like learning a language is like being a child again. But then after this summer, I felt like I went back in the womb and I have to get out of the womb. You remind me a lot about that. I just recently this summer I sent out my blood to the Nat Geo project to see where I come from, and the rumor that my great-great-grandfather was and grandmother were Jewish, pretended to be not Jewish, and joined the NAF or whatever, the NSA, not the NSA, the SS, the
SS.
army, and so,
SES.
yeah, the SAS.
Yeah, British.
And the rumor is true, so I guess I'm part of some lost tribe of the Jews, of the Jewish peoples. And it really hit me hard because I never would have thought it ever in a million years that I was nothing but a white man. And now I realize that like even us white people have pretended that we don't have culture for such a long time in America. Like these ignorant bastards who think they like have nothing and we're making this new thing, and really put me back. And that's kind of when I started going back into the womb. I was like scared. I realized that now I have my own thing that I also have to seek out one day and really see through. This summer, like I said, I felt like I went back into the womb, but when I would get out, I would just thank everything that I knew a name for, and thank the things that I didn't know a name for in English, but with Nordic as my root. And I literally, for the first time, like felt like I actually could escape modern culture. Like I could just go out in the woods and like nothing Americanized at all around me. It was a dream. It felt good, but as soon as you step back out in the woods, you're just immersed. Bullshit culture. Sorry, excuse my language. I'm mad. I'm mad at American culture right now.
You want to call it Coca-Colization?
Coca-Cola's nation, yeah. It's horrible. And now that I actually have roots in a culture that's been oppressed for the majority of their existence, I can't say that I know what it's like, but now I know that I have family that comes from that roots. And it's my responsibility to do whatever it is I can to continue this, or to just rid this world of this bullshit. Use my language. And you know, I could be here learning German or learning Spanish, but what's the point in doing that? That's just perpetuating that culture, perpetuating these ideas that we can go onto other people's lands and then just say, no, this is the curriculum everyone has to learn. That should actually hit me for the first time this summer. Oh man, it was crazy. So it really sparked this responsibility that like we are all complicit. Not all, but most people are complicit in colonization and assimilation, and they don't want to even open their eyes and realize it. They don't want to realize that watching the VMAs technically does contribute to the perpetuation of oppressing other people's cultures, because you come to this land and now VMAs is like the most prized thing we could watch. Like, come on, like there's so much more important things going on than Miley Cyrus and Nicki Minaj having a little on TV. It's just ridiculous. But I have a lot to catch up. Last year, I feel like I was just completely overwhelmed with everything and almost self-sabotaged myself. And I'm trying to get out of that pattern.
Easy Tinge, Miley Cyrus, kann Nicki Minaj, whoosh, Haskell. You talk about it, Tlingit, whatever.
Good, whatever.
Anyway, I just want to be able to say it. Eat cheese.
Nawe yigit usak Austin Tagaban Tlika Khainak Kagwantan Ayakhat Tak Dintan Yadi Mushkitan Zachkhan Cherokee. Coach.
Okay. Kecha. Sheesh. Alice, you're on.
Hi, Allison.
Gaat dus plekken nach Alison Bremner. Je gaat dus zak. Ganich kwan gaat city. Gasjas kagwantan yadi. Ganich kwan dachan. Seattle ye gaat iti. My name is Alison Bremner, or Kuwch, but when Ach Sayi Kimbuller is in the room, Shuch Pla Yechat Duasak. I'm a Tlingit artist from Yakutat, currently living in the Seattle area. And if you ever wonder who's watching these YouTube videos, it's me, because I went through beginning Tlingit watching you all on YouTube, so I'm so excited to see you. Welcome, Sheesh.
Sheesh. Kuwuch Hashuch Pla. This is our one and only day to use English names, and then we'll retire them. I really am happy that when people ask me about my students with using their American or whatever names, I was like, who is that? And I got to think for a while, and it doesn't make sense to me, and I like that. And so, yeah, okay, Chish Kuwuch. Okay, Carol, please Poaha.
Okay. I don't know what to say. I don't remember how to introduce myself. It's been a couple years since I took introductory, so it's more than a summer, and I did. That was very difficult for me. It was very emotional. First time to Juneau and to reunite with Tlingit, my bloodline. So I'm back in California, and I need to continue learning this language, so I need to work extra hard to remember. And I tried it once through Sitka online, and that I couldn't get it, but I think this is going to be great. I can hear the sounds and see the people speaking it, and I have a lot of hope. So I plan on showing up and doing extra work as we go. So thanks. Sheesh.
Sheesh. Very happy to see you back. You get to mute yourself when you're not talking. And Carol, we'll figure out a Tlingit name, and I know that we figured out some clan information, and we'll get there. I can talk to you about it later. There seems to be some feedback through maybe your microphone, or I don't know if there's background noise, but we'll pay attention to that.
It sounds like driving, the car's driving.
Oh, yeah. And maybe nobody's on the phone. I'm going to shut the phone down. Maybe there's noise coming from there, too.
Oh, there you go.
You can only have so many connections at one time, I think. Last year we gave a final for beginning Tlingit. My computer absolutely it died. It died during the final. It was very fun. It was actually not fun at all.
I remember that.
Yeah, I had to give the final through the iPad. It's very interesting. Now I have two computers. So if this does melt,
I was here.
sit with your test just sitting there.
I'll feel bad. Either
You know, lock and change over the summer. It's a lot of time to forget things. Yeah, we're gonna cheesh. Ya kaya yoxatini ya yagi shawdniki. Khasakua yituye yati hayukhatangi. Yisikuge guhsawe yuhan. Yisikuge. Hashishko has to itchyan to aunt that. Yewe has to tawasaku. Chuaya has our June. Hadat away. Kwashak away. Yes, ya waka. Adujsa. Hashilko has hayuk hatangi. Has to ich kakwashatu. To Yuhan away. At away. Has to khitach ayayata yigo ayachwan. Yak kitlak. Yewe achtuasagutsu. Kun aya. Yiltu. Hayu khatangi. Chadasa aya. Shtiltu. Kachit te. Aka kenastin yitu hawe hayu khatangi. Yikat ayatuh watankinch. Ajoy Quash Nask disi kanach, quash Kadushu disi kanach, Aka Kasatina Hapwati, Kate Hayuchatangi. Kahasayak a gawu aya. Choaya. Wushkach tusle yech. Chagu kawu hiti. Jagats ayayi that. Anak has cow the kid. A joey has to tawasaku. Wushe jagach to nei. Has to hit the down. Yet that's so. Clear talk away. Ach ish has to kagwan han a dach away. Kasank. Quash dach yach away hayuch atungi. Chut ayik aya. Dach yach chut. Aka yak ayagach tusha yech zu. Hesh is a chagu dach away. Haji Yesu to Yeha Yuchatangi. A Joyak away Yuhan. It Chakuye de our Keka Yuchatangi Yanachlitzin. Kalkeka Koa. Achina Kawanik ach the chunk. Kin Qaisti. You keep yes, Yak yicked away, has a stare, Shahuta in Gunhakuwakan away the sleep, ho away, Kawus. Yaachke. That's away. Tlingit at school, Yaachke. Ya away, Tlingit on the tiny. Jatin ayab to wach. Ya she to nach aya at she yach away. Hashifko has to kridach. A joyin kalhonikada. Yewe achtuasaku hakone wuchiki aya. Elchakut ayi away tat hayu khatangi. Ha anikach aya shtutu. But you were Khatrishin, how you Khatangi. Khania Aksai, Khatu Ani Kaudenu. Shukahadia we Uhan. Khut Ani. Khut Ayayedu Saka Ani. Alkawe Hahiti. Yes, hit. Geshat agawe hashuka. Ach ish koa yupikawe. Ach ish to ka sami. Yewe the kadach shagun. iin kahwani kachoyach tuasaku yisaku ayaha yuchatangi ten konach wush wututsaku achowe wush ten konach awe wututitsi hautlitsini Aka just kainach away you han. Gush you khana aya, but kakao the key to choya just what I away. Aka ayi in hasati in hasati tsuyi, hashish ko has. Yawe, cut you gi awa. Hasach wa ach. Aka kunach yik Khwasaku haina kawani kaposti yidan. Achawe kwashas ausaku kiti kusti. Yewe yakwaki. Hasawe kunach yakutsaki. Kunach litzin. Tu litzin away kunach yuhansu. Has to Katie away uhan. Hatu wasagu. Ya aspani yach away ke awa the kata yuch tangi. And chawake a denye jikachtuni. Gunichish. For starters, trying to put this together in my brain. There's so many ways to think about our language. It's inside of you. It's inside of each and every one of you. You're like a seed for that language. I felt today like we're coming back together, you know, and what they used to do is they used to take the planks from the longhouse and they would go to their fish camps on name. And they'd say, we're going to go over there. And that verb means to carry some stick-like objects. It's what you'd use that verb to talk about, like raising both your hands or moving both your hands, moving some stick-like things, because you're going to go use those planks to set up your summer house. So sometimes I feel like we've been called upon, like there's this house and all the planks are gone. Just the house posts are there. That's what they left for us, for those house posts. We call them our ancient ones, our grandparents. When we're speaking their language, we just know who we're talking about. And we're bringing those planks back and we're putting them up for that house. We're building that house back up. There was another student of Tlingit who said, it's like an unfinished dugout, dag. And you've been asked to go out there and ads in that canoe. And I'd watch a friend of mine, Wayne Price, and adsing, it's such a patient thing. Right? If you go too fast, it's going to crack that wood. Just tap, tap. And that's what learning language is like. Just all day, tap, 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 tap. And, you know, it might be a year, it might be 2 years. There's a canoe, right? There's something that was made. And it's nothing, it's not like we're making it, it's there for us. I mean, that's the beauty of Tlingit and studying it on this land, is that it's right there. It's this thing, it's the only thing that exists there for us to discover. And I think they did only sing. So I asked, do you know where you are? Do you know where you are right now? We're following our grandparents. And it's a really important concept. Because this is where you need to be. Sometimes you might feel like, oh man, this is just overwhelming, or I'm not doing this as much as I should, or doing that as much as I should. And it's good to have those thoughts, but it's good to understand that the driving force is this positive energy that you're doing what you are supposed to do. And so I think there were certain situations, and they were preparing for things, because they knew it was going to get hard. Hard life. And that's why they kept saying all these things that we have in recordings, we have in books. And the more you just live with this language, situations will come up, and these phrases will come to you like that. And so we talk about these things a lot, because it seems like English always wants new things. That's cliche. You gotta come up with these new things. We don't come up with new things. We find those old things that help people survive. And so that's a lot of like what I thought about when getting ready to talk to you guys and to launch this semester. And really it's about having that strength that you need. It's about understanding that maybe you're sitting there and it's dark. Maybe you're sitting there at some point and you feel like you're by yourself. But when you're engaged in this language, we're always with you. And they're always with you. And it's a powerful thing. And sometimes it's like the earth moves because there's so much power in these particular places. But it's good to talk about these things, because sometimes we feel like it's a lot of pressure, or we're put in all these positions, and what if I fail? But you're going to succeed. So we use these future forms of these verbs to say, this is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to be. And it's a challenge, because we're learning a language, an indigenous language, in America. Means you're standing up to colonization. This is one of the real true ways you can do that, and it's really interesting. And I was talking to folks in Hawaii about it, and the way that they phrased it was just really interesting, because I was talking about some things we're doing here, and they said, it sounds like you're saying, hey, we're just as smart as you are. Hey, we're just as good as you are. It's like in Hawaii, it seems like they said, F you, we're doing our own thing. And so that's what we're moving towards, I think, with the language. And so one of the goals that I have for you guys in this semester is maybe it takes us 3 months, 4, 5, 6, 9, maybe it takes the whole year. We're going to let go of English at some point. And we're just going to switch over, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And that's when you really move to an environment where you don't need English. So we're going to do a lot of things that build up a lot of the introductions to the fundamentals of Tlingit grammar, verb conjugations, the general structure of the language. And by the time you're done with this year, you'll have all of that stuff, so that you can keep going further with the structural side if you want to, or you can just find ways to engage in the language. But one of the things is as you stand up to colonialism, you got to realize that it's something you have to do. It's a repetitive verb. You got to do it. It's a habitual thing. So you got to have Tlingit that you listen to, Tlingit that you read, Tlingit that you say, and you have to commit at some point to say, when I see you outside this room, we'll say it in Tlingit, and there may be misfires, and it's totally fine if the conversation goes, how's it going? How are you? I'm fine. How are you? I'm fine. What are you doing? It's raining. It is raining. And so you just adjust, and then you find things, and we'll practice finding things to talk about, things that interest you. I like talking smack with sports. I like talking about current events. I like talking about all kinds of things in the language because it pushes you to be really dynamic with the language. It doesn't matter if it takes a long time. It doesn't matter if it's not conjugated properly, because we can fix those things. But what happens is if it's like sakit is what the word for a beaver dam. If it's damming up that river, then we find a way to break it down. Although it's a funny metaphor, because I was talking to this Lakota guy, and he was telling me the story when they were teenagers. They're like, let's just go wreck that beaver dam. And he said they spent all day, it's just working. It's this big old beaver dam. And it took hours upon hours. And they freed up the river, and then they went to bed, and they're so tired, and they came back and it was just wrecked. So it'll be that kind of beaver dam. Maybe it'll just be like a non-beaver dam. It'll be just some random dam.
Turn out the Forest Service fish weir.
Right? Yeah, let's just tear down those fish weirs, right? Get them out of here. Okay, any reactions before we move into process stuff?
Blah. I don't know. I always wondered what that one is. Let's talk about me.
Like when people say "hadla," like that.
Yeah.
So a lot of people would say "gla" or "hagla," but the GL sound does not exist in Tlingit. So it's just, and there's a lot of things that "kla" becomes "claw" as we sort of get fewer and fewer speakers. But "gla" or "hadla," or if you're in the interior, "hadlo," or sometimes "haddo." They have that O sound in it means like holy cow. Right? I guess that's it depends on the context as well, and we'll look at some of these interjections, right? Because I might be just teasing you and saying blah too much, or I might be like blah. Fix yourself. Right? I might be telling you that kind of thing too. But it usually you're indicating some surprise and like holy smokes, holy whatever. There's a whole variety of them, and it depends. It varies from speaker to speaker, family to family, and region to region.
Okay, I'm only asking that because someone said that to me throughout the whole last cooking class.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I just figured just in case if it's told to me again, I better.
Yeah, and we'll get into, because one thing that you can do is you can just replace your interjections, and and I did this I was talking to the faculty, and I was like, well, we could just use yuck instead of okay or good or fine or great or wonderful, fantastic or amazing or awesome. Yuck or kunach if it's really right. And so I was writing an email, and I was running out of my ways to say good. I was like, oh, it'd be awesome. Oh, this would be great. Oh, this would be wonderful. And I just replaced them all with yuck. Like, yeah, let's just do that. And so there's certain things you can do, because a lot of it, the act of language learning, particularly in what I would consider monolingual America, is a lot of it is tricking your brain into understanding this is what we do. And so I think we should have like a English Anonymous meeting, we go to and try to figure out how to give it up. Yeah, I spoke English today. And we figure, and
Hold each other accountable.
and addiction is not anything to joke around with, but it is. We make it harder than it needs to be to make that step. So we find ways, and part of it is interjections. So if we're surprised, if we're scared, atskani, and we'll go over all these that you've got them in your vocabulary. We got a syllabus, but the syllabus is kind of a proposal. It's me saying, okay, this is how we're getting to the shore. But as we're paddling, you say, I want to go here and look at this cove. We'll go look at that cove. We're going to have fun. And so it doesn't matter if we jump out of order, if you want to read ahead and do some other things. But try to, if we are agreeing upon what we're doing, try to read the thing that we're going to talk about before coming, so that when we come here, we're all ready to talk about it. Because we're not going to at a class one time. It was a journalism class. I was really excited. I thought I was going to be a journalist. So the University of Minnesota. And the professor said, go read chapter 2. So I would go read chapter 2. And then you go to class, and this person would open the book and read chapter 2 to you. And I just thought, why did I read it if you're going to read it to me, right? Because I've read it. So the purpose of us doing stuff outside, coming back. Let's take a little break. 7 minutes, 8 minutes. Then we'll come back, we'll do the syllabus. We'll see if you guys have any questions. We'll talk about what's expected of you and what we're going to do between now and Thursday.
I was actually kind of curious for this class.
Yisiku Unjao student government meetings.
Like for
Italian
Italian, so they'll teach you.
That meeting was dragged on forever. And I was like,
Yeah, I see that in like storytelling. Because I was gonna do a few summer ones in high school. That's all I would see is people, they pause and then their hands like this and then talk. But then you see the guys who like put their ear, and you're like, right in your face.
Yeah, it depends on the speaker. Yeah, there's a few things. Like I know this is.
I think maybe one to
two.
I think, well, no, because didn't Callie have something to do?
Your food sovereignty?
There's no
Did Callie have something to do?
But if you watch
On
storytellers
Fridays
doing
in
a lot of
the
things,
early?
and I think I do that a
Tell
lot
them you have
too.
something to do
I like
between
the-
1 and 2. You can't do it.
ones, just like a mellow.
You gotta
Well, it's gonna be a-
Yeah, and we'll talk about there's some other
Yeah,
techniques
so you should
that can
push
utilize.
for it to
if
be
you guys want to come from a
Because you have to
people that
be.
utilize
Well,
sign
that's
language to help.
Because that's like all I got as far as time is
What about?
Yeah, I have no preference on it.
Which we
I figured that I had no love to do it.
Yeah.
If you're on syllabus yet.
But there's no time set for which meeting.
So I guess it's still recording.
Yeah.
See, this would be a really good time for, to see who actually watches these videos. Just like how many people comment on like those videos you see on Facebook. Just at least 5 seconds into it, you just do something extremely random to see if someone would actually do it or actually watches it. Then you'll just see all these random people. Oh, how cute, adorable, this and that. Oh, it's inspiration. What they don't
Cosplay
just
to
see.
us to do.
That's spikes.
Blake, close. I was going to say close, but I don't say no.
How's your summer?
Kid, that's fun.
Remember, we're still recording.
I know, that's as far as I'm going.
I can imagine it just overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean,
Children.
I found it surprisingly refreshing to be woken up to a tumbling baby.
Mm.
To where, you pass out and you think she's going to be fine. All of a sudden you feel a foot in your face, you try to shift, and then all of a sudden you put her in the right spot to where she just rolls right over you and you gotta catch her. But it's cool, I mean, she's starting to get a personality. It's weird to see a baby get a personality.
I bet.
Like, instead of like walking around like they've had like 6 shots of vodka in 3 seconds, like just like that.
I can't say I've ever heard someone use that analogy.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
like that.
yeah, I mean, it's just something ridiculous. It's like seeing a kid pick up what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because what we did with my daughter, like most of the time when she was like 3 or 4 months old, would be a little, she does that now by herself. She'll like, yeah, she'll just like grab onto something when she's trying to practice walking,
Mhm.
and like, what are you doing? She's just, like, okay.
Okay.
And of course she does the growling and stuff.
So did you do that?
Kelly says 1 p.m. This Friday though, 2 p.m. because we're getting ready for the kickoff.
Oh.
Right.
And we have to bring stuff for the photo booth.
Writing is so.
Oh, yeah.
So did you go over this or not?
I was actually kind of curious about this class. I mean, because like the first thing I thought of was this is that, level of, in the classroom to where after you take it, you start thinking in the language, Like, I mean, that's the way I was always told about when you finally get used to a language, you'll start saying it in your head. When you think of
That was
stuff.
happening to me this summer.
Cool.
I would go to try and say a word and I'd be like, you won't understand what I say if I say this word.
It's hard because
That happens.
the A is a different express.
Yeah.
Do they have an sound?
Kind of, it's an ah sound. David Boxley, he goes, because people were having a hard time joining this just say, don't say ah. That's a white person sound.
That's the Tlingit person
That's what I
sound.
said. But
He's in a conversation with him.
he's a great teacher.
He's an art.
That's awesome.
You know what was really fun at the culture camp that Goldwell did? We learned how to do Haida, Egyptian, and Tlingit dancing, and like a little variety of everything.
Wait,
I thought that was
is it the one where they teach capoeira as well?
No, I don't know that.
And do they give away iPads?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, this was like an
Let's
academic.
go there, yeah, where's that?
This was like, this was like
Booster
a,
win.
oh, they don't give away, the kids use iPads. They're high school students, they get credit for the class, like college credit, and they do elder, like, they're assigned an elder and then they do a biography on them, and they use their iPads for the
Okay.
project.
Yeah, because the one I
They don't
went
get to
to-
keep it?
No, it's crazy trying to keep track of all of them. I was in charge of collecting them at the end of the day. Oh my gosh.
That's what I liked about it.
Sounds stressful.
It was.
You're like, oh no, it's an iPad.
Like, guys, get it together.
I know the one I went to was that was the scene one. That was like one of the last ones I've seen. Was the Dr. Syllabus.
Oh,
Yeah. He was he's like the weirdest guy when nobody's looking. He's standing there, and everybody's like talking and good stuff. Steps away, walks up to a teenager. You got a cigarette? But I don't smoke. I know you smoke. And of course, gets a big kick out of it. He sees the kid freak out for a moment.
Oh,
Yeah.
Totally forgot.
Right. So while we're getting ready to get back into it, I didn't send out an email before class. For those of you online, you should check tlingitlanguage.com. There's let's see, words. Okay. There are a series of tabs. One of them says Learning Tlingit. If you mouse over there, a little menu pops up, and one of those beginning, intermediate, Tlingit oral literature, and Tlingit linguistics. We are intermediate Tlingit. So before class, you should usually go there. I try to get things up half an hour to an hour before class. It depends. Sometimes they'll be there sooner. But that's my preference, is to put handouts there and just say go there before class. Email me if you need to, but basically the handouts would be there shortly before class. So hopefully you've got a way to print them, or if you don't need them printed, don't print them. But I find if I attach them to emails and we start sending emails back and forth that way, we have pretty small mailboxes here. And this way it's just there for everybody to see. So the way we're going to structure that is the oldest classes will be on the bottom, and we'll just keep putting newer classes on the top. After, not always right after class, but then I'll update it so that the link to the YouTube video is there, so you can rewatch it if you want to. You can tell others to watch it. And then the handouts will be there as well. So, are there any questions before we get into the syllabus?
TlingitLanguage.com, right? Yeah.
Yes, Tlingit, language.com.
I just did Tlingit.com and then like, that was
I
weird.
used to be.
They said they'd sell it to me for like $8,000 or something like that.
Because like, it's this.
What is it?
Well, what is that?
It's a placeholder.
I-
Somebody owns it,
Someone owns.
so they just put like some random stuff up, and they're just sitting on it, waiting for somebody to buy it. Who is it?
Who are you Katangi?
What's that?
Ashtana F. Kudu.
Yeah,
Are you
way.
Katangi?
Is that date the cut down a day a yeah you
Is there any legalities to that? Like, technically they're stealing a name?
Well, if
I don't know.
the Navajo have trademarked the name Navajo, and I know this because some designer company made like Navajo underwear, so they went to court and they made them stop selling.
Wow.
But nobody owns the word or name Tlingit legally. And I'm not worried about it. TlinkitLanguage.com. We do have some potential strategies in place to have a SimshianLanguage.com if we wanted, and a HaidaLanguage.com if we wanted, and then Southeast something languages.com as well. That could be the overarching structure, not to dictate to anyone, but to offer that resource and to have users who can. It's a blog, so the TlingitLanguage.com is a blog. As language learners, we're being recorded, but it's off the record. There are a lot of publications that I like to put on there and make accessible. There are probably certain groups who shouldn't know about that, unless we wanted them to tell us to take it down. So we'll just leave it at that. For language learners, I believe in accessibility to language materials. I take things down if people ask me to, if it's their material. And I whisper, shame on you. Under my breath, there's nothing I can do. Or I've recorded things before and people said, that person is talking about our clan, it's not from our clan, take it down. And I just take it down. Some of the things that I do with language as well is there's a YouTube channel, YouTube/UASANLS, Alaska Native Languages and Studies. And there you'll find a whole bunch of videos because it archives all of our classes there. But there's a channel, so you can also select interviews with elders. There's some funny type of videos. So if you haven't seen Ishan Gaudon yet, I should make you should. That is a fun little project for you over the course of the semester. Write down the Tlingit and give me the translation to that song. Let's. That took me so long to make. It was just insane.
I have to say, Makuzi, your voice is amazing. It makes you sound like a singer, like you're a rock and roll star, man. You really are.
It was going to be my dream. When I retire, I'm going to be like an old man rock star, and I'm going to write Tlingit soap operas. That's what I'm going to do. And maybe like novels. I don't know. That's my goal.
Yeah, I can totally see it now. Just.
Wasa Duasak guitar.
I don't think a name exists for it. So there's something, and we should, I spent a lot of time with elders coming up with new names for things. Sometimes it's on their initiative. There was an elder in Carcross. Wasa Duasak penguin. Perfect. It's the duck that flies underwater. Perfect. So, and sometimes they're thinking of these things, and there's some Under there's another tab. There's a bunch of audio there if you want to download audio, put it on your phone or your music player. Somebody was asking me for cassettes. You gotta just figure that out on your own. I'm not, I try to get things off cassettes, not onto cassettes. And it's just way too much work for me. But there's lots of audio to download there. There's another tab called Raven Book. There's a group of us that inherited a project from the late Richard Dowenhauer, that's translating Raven stories. A tremendous amount of work has gone into it by a number of people. And the book is going to come out probably sometime next year, but almost every story we're working on is there. So there's this whole, you can have lots of audio, and if you're in a place where it's hard to download, or if you know somebody who wants some of these things, but they don't, I taught at a summer camp in Atlin, and we were in Atlin, we're 20 miles outside of Atlin, so there was internet posté. And I was like, wow, if I don't have it here, I don't know where to get it, and so it was really an eye-opening experience, and we're trying to figure out ways to make all this stuff more accessible. Then we know some of our communities have data limits and other things like that. But with those audio files, there should be a button there to download it, so you don't have to go back there and stream it all the time, but you can download it. And again, if you want some of this stuff,
it didn't work for me downloading.
Really?
It was one of the Susie James ones.
Okay. So let me know if there's some kind of glitch, and I'll try and fix it. Sometimes, like the software, the plugin updated, and I had to go through and redo all of those links. And so
there's a lot of this too.
yeah, and the Susie James stuff.
joke.
Sorry.
What's that?
I was just
Kind
saying.
of joke.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, kind of joke. It's rolling. Okay, let's see, what else was I going to say? On there's also another resource called Dictionary. It's probably about 60% complete, but that's probably lying. But it's going through the Dictionary of Tlingit, copying those entries, making adjustments if needed, also tying other words for things in. I know what got me on this track. I tend to drift in my consciousness, so just be prepared for that. So it's a new dictionary. Let me try and show you guys online what this thing looks like.
Raven Book is an awesome tab.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff
Always
on it.
like
It's
that
really
one.
Hey, do you guys know that one fella that's on YouTube? He's a colored bloke. Pretty much he knows how to speak like Tlingit, and it's really weird to see him on there, because I looked up like how to say certain expressions on there, and it showed this guy, and I was like, this guy looks like he's from like Wu-Tang Clan, because he has the whole outfit on, and then all of a sudden, he stands in front of the camera and starts talking in Tlingit, and I'm just like, where this is coming from? I was just seeing if any of you guys know, seeing this guy, because literally he's got like 100 videos, and that's where like I picked up on.
You have to send me a link to that.
I saw somebody on
Because he got in trouble for it, because they're like, where did you learn this from, blah, blah, blah. And then he gave off like, oh, I came from cake, this and that. This person was this person, I was the adopted grandchild of this person, I learned from them, and now I've got this whole like repertoire of, words that no one's even like used in like 50 years kind of thing, ever since the whole Christianity movement. It's pretty cool.
Interesting. No, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah.
Okay, let me try this again.
That's what I was really hoping someone else can help me find.
So this is the new dictionary. It's up there. It's just a draft at this point. Trying to think of somewhat of a different way to do entries, and you can do searches on here. So I was looking for. Let's see, that's not it.
I got that
This
one.
is it. That is the Tlingit word for broken English. And it literally means, here, let me enlarge this. So this is what this dictionary is trying to do, is it has the entry here, it has the part of speech, which I'm going to change this. It's a compound noun. And we'll talk about how nouns function in Tlingit, about how all these different parts of speech function in Tlingit. And then it has what we would call the translation equivalent. This would be what it means in English. And then in parentheses, you have the literal translation. Sounds like a broken cooking pot. And that's the word for when the old timers would speak in broken English. You know, they would have a really heavy Tlingit accent. And it's interesting when we were studying some stuff this summer to think about languages that have monolingual speakers, like Navajo and Yupik. They have monolingual speakers, which means there's speakers you can talk to who don't know English. You know, and this happened to me on the Navajo reservation. I was talking this, and then it just dawned on me. I'm like, she doesn't know English. This is fantastic. This is awesome. So I was pointing at things, at these medicines for sale. And then there's sometimes a little bit of a description on here. So there's some things like Kwani as opposed to Kwan. So there's some description there to talk about the difference between those things. In particular, when we get into the spiritual realm and things like that, I felt a dictionary needs to be a little bit more comprehensive. And the idea comes from Zeus, James Crippen, who was working on something like this that was much more in depth. And I didn't want to go that much in depth. But this one, I got to fix that. Because what they should also have is a breakdown of how it works. So like the clans are in here, along with a breakdown of how their names work, where they're generally located at, and what crests they use. And there's just some fun things that Kushtayach, like these really fun, that's actually not a particle. I fixed that too. Kushtayach. Kushtayach is an adverb.
Who's came out again?
I'm still working on it. But you can look at the draft. You know, there'll be lots of errors and other things. If you catch them, just let me know. And it'll be continually updating, and you should still be using the dictionary of Tlingit. You should look at the interior Tlingit dictionary, and you should look at the Tlingit verb dictionary.
I got two of those, and like they both have really weird art on them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, one's got like a third grader's crayon version of like a Chilkat chief or whatever. Well, not chief. We don't have chiefs, do we?
Is it this one?
It's that one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let me turn
There's
this
one from Sea Alaska that's like $200.
$200.
What?
Yeah, it holds up in Anchorage at the Institute, you know, where it's got like all the houses of how native, I don't know what the place is.
Oh, at
Species.
the Seattle Heritage thing there.
Yeah, the museum there where it's got like a whole bunch of separate versions of houses, how people lived.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But that's where I saw the book. It was like about this book, leather bound, you know, and it's $200, and you know, it probably had no more than like 200 words, like for each page.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what I thought was crazy.
Okay, so so there's all kinds of resources there. I encourage you to buy the books. As a language student, you should be buying these books and giving support to the programs. A lot of these projects are grant funded. Nobody's making a lot of money off of this stuff. But I think it's good to have those physical books in your possession, because it also helps you convince yourself, this is what I do, this is what I invest in. But there's a lot of these different texts where you can go to. One of my goals with this blog was to create a place where you can go and have all these things in one place. And so you can download electronic versions of the dictionaries, including the Tlingit Verb Dictionary, which is out of print. There's a box of them sitting right there, so if you want one, grab one. If you don't have one and you're out there in the Onlineville, online Ani, let me know and I can have one sent to you.
Do you have any of the discs by chance?
No, I don't have the discs.
Yeah, I tried to convert one of them into a flash drive at one time, but I got halfway until the disc got scratched.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so like it was kind of weird to hear.
Yeah, so the audio they have, I think at the, wait, do I have a bookstore? They have at Alaska, and that's Janae. I think they have them downtown.
They have
Gold Belt normally gives out those free annual books. Sometimes they'll have the expression books, those ones where it's got like sentences already pre-made for you. You know, those ones are pretty cool.
Okay, so 12-minute version of the syllabus. Here we go. We're not going to get to our pre-test today. Kushtayach. It's an adverb. It means it doesn't matter blank. So you'd say it doesn't matter verb, and then you would have something else after it. Like, it doesn't matter that kushtayach kashhasechaya achduchatangi Tlingit duchatangi tin chachpatatam. Doesn't matter that they don't understand Tlingit. I'm going to speak Tlingit to them. So it doesn't have to be that dramatic, but it can be. So there's some choice quotes at the top of the syllabus. I'll say them for you. I'll leave it up to you to figure out. Maybe you already know. How sanech hayuch tangi. Chayuka wahayuch atank duin nastich. Chukakdach hadachan hakina keut tusanuk. Hesh adech utleklet ha unachsati. Yeah. So it's good that you're here. Read through the syllabus so that you know what's going on. It maps out what we're going to do for our class. We have a pretty aggressive schedule. We'll be using beginning Tlingit. You should definitely have that text. We've been working off of a workbook. There's a link to the workbook here. It's also under the beginning Tlingit or intermediate Tlingit tab. And you can download that and print it. We'll use Tlingit Chenachsa, the Tlingit phrase book, which is this one. I found at a garage sale for $2 after water spilled on my other one and it got ruined. And then the Dictionary of Tlingit by Carrie Eggleston. It was Edwards at the time. The Tlingit Verb Dictionary, which is the yellow dictionary. And then they often look like this. Not a lot of use, except to the language learner. I was proud when mine fell apart because I used it a lot. And then the phrase CD with Johnny Marks and Carrie Eggleston, Tlingit Einach Ach. The beginning Tlingit workbook, where there's a link to that. And then How Sanech Hayuch Atangi. It's a text I've been working on for several years now with Gold Belt Heritage Foundation. You can download it. There's also a link there if you want to buy a print version of it. I don't make any money off of it. That's just for the cost of printing. And that won't be available for very long because it's going to go to Alaska Native Language Center and they'll be the publisher and so on and so forth. There are additional resources that you should use, and we'll go over them in class, how to use them. 575 plus Tlingit verbs, which is a website. It's wonderful. It's got all these different conjugations of Tlingit verbs, and we'll talk about how those verbs work. Whoops, it's not Tlingit.info. It used to be. It's TlingitLanguage.com. Hopefully it's the only error in the syllabus. Last time there was a huge error in the syllabus. I had Labor Day on there. Okay. See Alaska Heritage. That actually has probably changed. I don't know what their new link is. But go hunt it down. They've got lots of awesome things. The barometer, if you haven't seen it.
I don't know if that's still there.
If it's not there,
The website's weird.
the world has gotten worse. Okay.
Okay.
And then Akisha Carrie Eggleston is continuing to work on verb documentation, and this is the complete list. It doesn't have an alphabetical sorting, so you got to sort of scroll through it. but there's probably a couple hundred more verbs there than on Tlingit verbs, including don't poop on yourself. You can learn how to say it. Okay, so the things that you should expect to gain from this class: speak and understand complex phrases, have a vocabulary of at least 100 additional words, understand how nouns, adjectives, noun suffixes, and relational terms work in Tlingit, identify the verb and root in Tlingit sentences, read and write in Tlingit, and be able to teach fundamental concepts to new learners. So one of the things I told you in Tlingit earlier that I forgot that I told you is you should teach somebody. If you get something in Tlingit, you should give that to somebody else. Because that's where the magic happens. It internalizes to yourself, and it also fulfills your obligation of brainwashing the world in Tlingit, which is our mission. Let's see. In the class, we're going to have language goal sheets. They're going to be more complex than they were last year. So this is stuff you go out. These are the things you're choosing to commit to memory. At some point, you'll stand up and you'll recite these. I haven't decided on the numbers or anything. I have to figure that out. But it'll be more complex. There'll be verb conjugations and other things as we go further along. We're going to call these language demonstrations, where you are demonstrating what you know. Sometimes it will vary on how that works. Sometimes it'll be just...
Go somewhere and have a sit in and talk and sing it.
Yeah. That'd be awesome. Take it over.
Order McDonald's. I get a number pick.
And then there'll be a midterm presentation. That's when you will stand up and recite the words you have memorized. And you will also compose a 3-page paper that's double-spaced on a topic of your choice. Yes, that is entirely in Tlingit. You have from now until then to work on. And, you know, I'm not expecting it to be... I'm expecting it to be awesome. Whatever degree of awesome you can manage. Yeah. It's going to be Shikutsi Kunach. And then you will make a PowerPoint presentation for your paper that you will share with the class. So think about topics, think about things that you can investigate, work with. And you can certainly ask me questions. I can lead you in the right direction. You've got some time. We'll get to the schedule and when that stuff is done. Then we're going to have a final exam, and you'll have a 10-minute presentation, which will also be included. And we'll talk about that as we go along. These are things not designed to intimidate you, but to push you to the point where you're producing a lot in the language. Try and bring all your materials to class. Try and keep them in good condition. Bring some stuff to write with. We'll probably try a lot more reading. We'll try a lot more writing. And when I was learning, I'm learning Hawaiian. And when I first started learning Hawaiian, they had us standing at the board, and we're writing stuff down. He's kind of hollering at us a lot, but he was funny and he was having fun. But I learned you can't holler at everybody, because I was trying his technique, and I was like, people were getting upset. So, this is a literate. We are literate people. And you got to write the okina a certain way. It was a lot of fun. I can deal with that stuff. It was fun. Phone, all that stuff, computers. Make sure you're working in Tlingit when you're using that stuff. There's how the grade breakdown is. You should assess this course. I don't press that nearly enough. Just assess the course, what would work better. And as we're, the assessment is sort of the official part. That's how they decide whether people should be sticking around at the university, and also how to improve content. But if you don't feel like you have to wait, especially those of you online, and after this it'll be a lot more interactive. But if you feel like something's going to work better, just let me know. You can let me know through email. You can just shout it out. And if you ever have something on your mind, just jump in and just yell. I don't mind if we go to different places and we can talk about cultural things, we can talk about a lot of other things. If we get later in the semester, I'm going to want to have a lot of those conversations in Tlingit. But at any time, if you feel like something's going to be better, we're going to try a couple other things too. We got the camera just sort of sitting over there. But this semester I have 2 cameras. I might try to put one near the board, although you really can't see if I write on the board, maybe the whiteboard. But in case there's other things that we want to do, or if we get into presentation mode, we'll see. It's nice, I think, for you to be able to see everybody, but then sometimes you want to see faces. And then these are important dates. Dasa?
I was going to ask if you could get a drone for the camera.
Just like get right up in people's face. Well, we'll do some things where like there's the hot seat, and you gotta get in the hot seat, and you gotta give your speech. Okay, so here we go. 7 minutes. The class schedule. This is what we have. We're gonna run through beginning Tlingit, well, including chapters 6, 7, 8, and 9, which I don't think we did last year. And so you can see that using both the workbook and also the beginning Tlingit text. So especially when you get into this beginning Tlingit, you should be going through when we're doing these lessons. So you'll see the names of the lessons. So Thursday we're going to do lessons, I think there are maybe 1 and 2 in here, and it's probably 1, 2, and 3 in the workbook. So look at the workbook, review it, look at beginning Tlingit and read. You should have read the preface by now, the introduction.
It's so thick.
It's huge, but it's really good. It talks about like learning, it talks about philosophies, teaching. But then when you're doing these lessons, you should be reading the bonus stuff in the back. There's a lot of grammatical stuff. If you have grammar questions, you can always ask them. I may not always know the answers, but there are people who probably do. You'll see October 20th as our midterm presentations. And then the final is on December 8th. Everything else is laid out there for you. When we start moving into different texts, let me know if you have any questions or problems getting any of the books. That's the syllabus.
What's a journal review?
Oh, well, we're not going to do that. That was an idea I had a long time ago, where I'd have people. But I will say this, is you should have something that is your language book. And I think it should be different than your other books. Because, you know, and I've kept these, and they're usually very small, because I would go and work with elders, and I would just carry it everywhere, all the time. And now it's on my computer. But I think these are really good because I have stacks of these, and sometimes I just look through them, and it's kind of neat because I'm like, oh yeah, that's when I learned this thing. Oh, I was like super wrong about this stuff, right? And so it could be a wide variety of things, like phrases you're learning, and especially if you start engaging yourself more with Tlingit speakers, which is maybe a challenge for some of us, but as you sort of go out in the world and you encounter more Tlingit, whether you're reading it, you're hearing it, you have somewhere to make these notes and come back and look at things later. And it's your own personal, I had ideas that I would collect these things and see what everybody's doing, but I'm not going to do that because it's just like too much stuff to take care of, and I'll probably lose it, spill coffee on it, and I'll feel terrible. Yeah, so don't worry about that. Any other questions?
I have a question not related to Tlingit stuff.
Okay.
Board of Regions. What is the Board of Regions?
What is the Board of Regents?
Why, who, rather?
So the University of Alaska is composed of these 3 main entities. Sometimes they'll call, I don't know what the MOUs is what they call them sometimes. Remember it's MOAs? I don't know. But there's University of Alaska Anchorage, University of Alaska Fairbanks, University of Alaska Southeast. Each of those have satellite campuses. UAF has Kuskokwim and Aleutians, and there's a northern one. The Anchorage has Kodiak and Kenai. UAS has campus in Sitka and Ketchikan. And then all of it is governed by the University of Alaska. And then that whole thing is governed by, typically in organizations you have an administrator and you have a board, whether that's a tribe or whether that's a corporation. And for the University of Alaska, there is a president who makes decisions for the whole system, although they work in concert with chancellors, and your chancellor, and you have a provost. Which often your provost is dealing with the academic nuts and bolts, and the chancellor is dealing with more larger level mission, goals, publicity of the university. So the Board of Regents are selected, maybe, I don't know. But they're the people who sort of decide whether or not there will be new programs, sort of overall direction of the university.
Well, they're going to be here at some point in September, and I might have to speak in front of them.
Really?
So I have to figure out what I'm going to say. And I feel like part of it should be in Tlingit, so
Yeah.
that's something. If you guys think of anything good,
We'll
let me
probably
know.
be with them too.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. I think
Oh,
so
you guys
too.
Probably.
Probably, I would
And then in
assume.
spring, we're gonna have to meet for legislature.
Yeah.
Oh,
This one's-
Yeah, well, it's a part of our job. We have to go lobby for the school and stuff.
Yeah, I gave presentations to them before.
We
It would
should
be
just do the whole
great.
thing and thing it.
Yeah.
If we had a Bachelor of Arts in Alaska Native Languages and Studies with 3 tracks to select from: language, art, or governance. And then it would be great if we had graduate level classes in Tlingit. There is no good reason why we would have Tlingit classes, Haida classes, and no Tsimshian classes. So there's a chance to maybe embarrass UAS a little bit into being a little bit more responsible.
Break it to know.
Oh.
What's that?
Break it to know. Throw
Like,
it in the lake.
way off the record, even though we're still recording. I sent a message to David R., which maybe I can include you on. And I think if communication came in a certain way from Metlakatla, that we would get those classes in on the books.
Well, it's pretty cool. We got like a list to sign up on then?
Well, then we just gotta run the class.
That's true. Yeah, because I know, was it Lyle's drum class?
Oh, yeah.
What was it like, it got canceled on?
The dance class.
Yeah, that was something I wanted to.
spring.
Oh, yeah, well, because he didn't get.
Well, he didn't have the proper standards, like the borders of like what they wanted him to show from teaching, like, no written tests, nothing like ridiculous like that, in order to actually make it an official class. Like something that actually leads to a degree rather than elective.
Yeah, so we're working on those degree tracks. And then I got some other ideas too, but there's some stuff I could probably send you. And, the bill that made Alaska Native Languages the co-official languages of Alaska, that was really a UAS-driven initiative. I should call attention to it.
I mean, yeah, just saying, name's no big deal and all, but, maybe it helps to actually get an Alaska Native warrior there himself. Yeah, actually won the Bronze Star with that letter, so I mean, that's got like some push around there.
Any other questions? Everybody
Yeah.
okay?
Since I'm not in the class list for the Blackboard website, when do you think I'll become available after attendance? Just probably whenever.
I'll put the syllabus on Blackboard, but that's all I do on Blackboard.
Oh,
Everything
oh,
else is
okay.
on thinkitllanguage.com.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's just a website. Yeah.
Blackboard Hashakan. I hate it.
They made this dumb update too, where when you're on
It has
the
to
main
open
website,
another-
you click the tab,
I hate it.
pops up a new.
Achwacheef, ja, tutech, yenach gush, ach, tu, akatachun gush, yinde. She had 2 more thumbs, so I give it 4 thumbs down. Was that by the glacier?
Yeah, it's past the glacier a little bit, yeah. Like it's, I guess you'd say it's the last set of lights before the glacier.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I live by the glacier.
Oh, cool.
Sit, hunt, ayahanehi.
What's it do so we sit here?
Sit. But it was also called Auk Egg Sit.
That's fair.
I got 2 names. But I think it was just called Sit. When we should that's the first thing we should rename. We'll just call it Glacier.
Let's get a
Question
warmup.
about the language lab job.
Uh-huh.
When should we talk to you? How do we do that? We gotta go on UA Online.
No, if you guys want to do it, we'll do a direct hire.
Okay, cool.
And we'll just play it by ear and see. If you guys want to do like just a small amount of hours, it's cool. We'll
Well, I
set up
found
a schedule.
places that can do it, so
Okay.
I had to.
Yeah, we'll set up a schedule. We also got like $10,000 to soup that place up. So we're gonna get some computers in there. We're
Gonna take out the
It's just
wall,
okay.
expand it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The elevator, government spikes. Gone. What's left?
That's right.
Oh, it could be like a fishbowl thing so you could see it.
Tell Joe Nelson, free coffee in the language lab. Because I was like,
You can always
Joe,
just
just
steal
put
it.
free coffee there. He said, well, we can't just get, like, because he thought I was saying language students get free coffee. They just get to go into the cafeteria and be like, I'm studying the language. Yep. That's, no, just get a giraffe in there. You just
I was
keep
gonna say, you can always take it from the student government. That's where I always get.
That is true. I should go down there more.
I don't like those crap
But still.
Yeah.
Oh.
The carrots.
Cut out to us.
Don't play when he goes missing.
I want to drink plastic.
I mean, go with a budget like that, I would imagine like have like the most plain looking room with the most high tech TV right in the middle of it.
We'll have
Yeah, it'll be.
holograms.
Yeah.
You could program it to understand Tlingit.
Yeah. Gook.
Yeah. I can see it now. Siri.
I think it's,
what's
yeah,
that?
I think it's-
Yeah. Does he come up and you're like, coffee please?
That's how we'd actually tell them during thinking class. Is that they have to say it.
Okay.
People like coffee is take classic.
Which I think, so when we arrange this room, we'll go a little bit more to the right.
Okay.
And let's try and maybe horseshoe it so that we are all visible.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you never seen all the apostles at the Lord's Supper, you know, with their backs to.
True.
Yeah, so the apostles. Yeah, wait, there's cheese.
There's cheese.
Yeah.